and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. A bonus point victory for the Springboks as they beat Australia 30 points to 12 in Perth. Despite the rotations, despite making 10 changes, a team that some people even dub a B team, they've gotten the job done. They've beaten Australia in tricky conditions, to say the least. Absolutely horrible weather over in Perth. It rained the entire game. It was wet. It was close. It was every single condition you don't want to play rugby in, to be perfectly honest. And Australia, to give them their credit, played pretty well, I felt, for a large part of the game in terms of keeping themselves in the game, in terms of making it competitive. I thought Nick White was a very big addition to the side. I thought he added a lot of control and balance to them. But the physicality and the quality of the box eventually shone through. Despite having their key weapon taken away from them, uncontested scrums for a large part of the game, about for half an hour, I think it was, in the end. And that's such an important part of the Springbok DNA, that when you take away those uncontested scrums, it takes away a large tool, especially in wet conditions where there were so many scrums, were so many handling errors. And once again, probably a game you look at thinking we probably should have scored another maybe 1 or 2 tries, but to score 30 points with the rotated team in tricky conditions, the main thing was a win for a start. That was prize number 1. Prize number 2 was to try and get that bonus point as well. We did both. So it really is mission accomplished. They're busy chatting to Eben Etzebeth, who had a really, really solid game. I don't know if that means he's been named man of the match. But it wasn't easy conditions, to be perfectly honest. Let's go through the game, shall we? Before we do that, smash a like, by the way. Smash the like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Let's have a look at what happened, shall we? And a bit of a live sort of blow-by-blow account, because it was tricky, and Australia actually took the lead. South Africa didn't start particularly well. Kickoffs were a problem for both teams. We'll see that when we go to the stats. The wet conditions really made it very difficult. So we basically butchered the start and had a couple of bad phases, and Nola Lucio actually got the points underway as he raised the flags, and 3-0 after 2 minutes. But we then cancelled that out about 13 minutes later. Sashafami Gomazulu splitting the poles with his first chance in the 13th minute before Makazola Mapimpi set up Apelefasi, and it was so cool to see a couple of really good counterattacks from the Springboks. This one in particular, knocked forward, kind of the theme of the day, with all the wet around the field, and very quick, run the hand, Jesse Creel to Makazola Mapimpi. He puts us to the boot, a perfect kick, which held up just bopped up in front of Apelefasi, who motored around. I think it was Tom Wright, or could have been Andrew Kellaway, and he dived over for the first try in the 16 minutes. 3 points to 8. You're thinking, there we go. Start well, get that early try, build the momentum. Then we had, but unfortunately, Sat Fabregas not managing to add the extras. We then had Nola Lucio adding an extra 3 points. A bit silly that I think that was the one from Morne van den Berg, where he tackled him slightly early. We had actually gone ahead and found out when outside the line, outside the 22, but TMO got involved, brought it back, and it was a penalty, so that became 6 points to 8, and Sash Famigomazulu then making it 6 points to 11 with a penalty of his own in the 25th minute before Nola Lucio in the 35th minute once again to sort of re-establish that 2-point gap. The first half was frustrating because I felt that we had so many chances which we just didn't quite finish. A couple of knock-ons when you didn't need it. The lineouts throughout the game, and particularly in the first half, were really poor. Both sides, to be fair, because of the conditions, but not great and not good enough. And that's something that's very, very much needs to be worked on. In general, obviously, again, you're going to sit there looking and say, well, conditions-wise, those were tricky, but need to be better in the future and moving forward with regards to the lineouts, because, they weren't really good enough. Thankfully for us, we started really well in the second half. Malcolm Van Staden went over. The rolling maul looked pretty good. Malcolm Marks came and scored a brace after that. So Van Staden 42, Mark 62, Mark 72, Fime Gomazulu with 1 conversion, Pollard with another. The only sort of blip in the second half was 1 penalty from Australia as they kind of continued to try and sort of stay within touching distance. The annoying thing is that we kind of put a Malcolm Marks and Oxen chair, and I want to try and find out exactly when it was. It was here at 44, I think it was. 44 minutes they came on, but then James Slipper was replaced at 48 minutes, so 4 minutes later, uncontested scrums for the rest of the game. Very, very frustrating to go to uncontested scrums because that kind of takes away one of our biggest weapons, which was the front row that we had just put on. So annoying. But let's look at some individual. Let's look at some of the stats. Look at some individual players because there was some really nice performances in a really scrappy game. Possession was pretty even, as you kind of expect. Generally played most of the rugby, 55% in fact of it, between the halfway and the Australia 22. So we were always playing in the right areas. To be perfectly honest, with regards to the possession was played. Most of the game played. A lot of it actually played in the Springbok 22. So we had a lot of pressure, but defended pretty well. If we look at some of the general stats, it was 4 tries to none. So to score 4 tries in the wet is good to see. 2 conversions, 2 penalty goals, 97 carries, more line breaks, more turnovers lost. Sometimes getting a little bit isolated, and I think breakdown-wise, I thought Australia won a couple of nice turnovers. But let's look at the set pieces. So 77% line-out success rate for Australia, 80% for South Africa. Shows you how difficult it was. Our restarts were really poor. Receiving restarts, 86%, not good enough. Put us under a lot of pressure, unnecessary pressure. You felt 75% scrum win percent. I felt we weren't quite getting the reward we deserved. I mean, it says 92% for Australia. I felt that had we had contested scrums in that second half, we probably would have had far more success at the scrum. So I think that was a very, very frustrating aspect of the game. Apart from that, on the attack, more post-contact beaters, more line breaks, more carries. Turnovers weren't great, but penalties conceded, Australia 11. Obviously, the yellow card as well towards the end. From a defensive point of view, 92%. We were asked to make 120. Well, we made 121 tackles out of 131. Australia made 118 out of 130 tackles. So pretty similar. But again, there were moments where we went out wide, but most of the game was kind of 10-man rugby, phase after phase, move, knock on, scrum, move, knock on, scrum. Kicks-wise, 32 kicks from Australia, 29 from South Africa. You kind of expect to see that. In terms of some individual performance, Upper Fassi, Peter Steph Toy with the top carries with 6 carries. If you look at line breaks, for example, Korobeti, Colby, Peter Steph Toy all with 2. We almost had a great try, by the way. Roger Pollard with a cross kick towards Peter Steph Toy, who gathered, was brought down inches away by Korobeti, popped it up to Jesse Creel, who was running towards him and almost stopped and just couldn't quite get there. Took his hand away, which is good awareness. But in doing so, then the ball kind of bounced forward and was therefore forward off Peter Steph the toy. It would have been a great try. Tackles completed. Carlo Tizzano, Josh Nasser, and Rob Valentini, the best tacklers, 15, 12, and 11 respectively. There were 4 South Africans who made 11 tackles. Thomas Toy, Ruan Nokia, Marco Verstaden, and Peter Steph de Toy. So good work from them. Malcolm Marks also coming off the bench and making 8 tackles is a good day out. If we look at turnovers, 1, Quokka Smith came on and made a nice turnover. Nice penalty 1 there. If we look at attack, Korobeti, Fassi, Peter Steph Toy, as mentioned, carried the most. Meters carried, Cheslin Colby with 78. He had that intercept, for example. He looked really sharp today. Peter Steph the Toy with 52. Always seems to be up there. Defenders beaten, Tom Wright, Lelacia, Creel, Peter Steph the Toy, and Quokka Smith all with 2. Peter Steph the Toy, he's one of those players. He dominates the stats in the forwards. He dominates stats in the back lines. What a player he is. Another strong game from him. But overall, job done, isn't it? Job done. And that's the main thing. We've gone over there. We've taken our 10 points out of 10. We're on top of the Rugby Championship table, and we've laid down the marker. The way that New Zealand played today is a bit of a warning, but at the end of the day, I think you'll look at that and think, we can beat them. We've rotated. We've got the job done. We've given minutes to the entire squad, which is good to see as well. Some players stood up. Some players maybe struggled, but in general, can be very, very happy with that game. Let's get into some player ratings, because that is the name of the show. The name of the game, as they say. So we're going to get into some player ratings, and basically what's going to happen, the link is in the description, so don't come here with, how do I vote? What do I vote? I'm telling you now, the link is in the description. It is also in the chat. You're going to go to that link, and you're going to give every player a rating 1 to 10. Don't wait for me. That's also something I've realized people are doing. Please don't wait for me. Go ahead and vote. Go ahead and get voting. Because when I vote, it shows me a aggregate score, so 1 through to 10, of what everyone has voted on, and that's kind of the final decision, I suppose, in inverted commas. So don't wait for me. Go and give every single player 1 to 10, and then we're going to go through from my side, and I will show you the aggregate results, and then that's kind of the final call. So before we get voting, and while you guys do start to vote, I need man of the match nominations, and this was your show, So I need to know, what are you thinking for man of the match? Give me some nominations. I'll give you a bit of time, but give me some nominations. We'll go through some of the comments. So whilst I'm waiting for nominations for man of the match, let me go through some of the comments over here. Cameron's saying, winning builds confidence and it builds the culture where a team, no matter how bad they play, will believe they can win. Very important point. I think, building that confidence into fringe players, for example, that know that they may be on the cusp future, but if they go and beat Australia, they're still thinking, well, I can draw. Leroy says, in my opinion, some poor performances from the Bulls players in the starting pack. Jan Krobelaar and Nortje in particular haven't had a good game. Fussy played well, as did Grant, and Kwaka as impact. Albert saying, bonus point in the rain is in Australia with 11 changes. Evan saying, think we still have questions on our lock depth and number 8 pecking order. I think very much number 8 pecking order. Look, I think Albert Lowe was all right. I think he had a great game. The lock, we do have a lock crisis, I think, in our defense. We do have Sneeman injured, Jean Klein injured, Lourdes Diaga injured, and Franco Mostert injured. So we've got Sneeman, Diaga, Mostert, Klein, 4. We've got 4 locks injured. So, we are onto our 6th and 7th choice locks. And, if Salman Murat and Ronald Keogh are 6th and 7th choice locks, I personally think Ruben van Heerden has got a lot to offer. Then I think we're probably okay. I think we just need to remember how many locks we've got injured at the moment. Contender saying, I really hope that Murat was going to step up today, but the injury didn't work in his favour. Once Jenkins and Klein return, he probably drops out. Nortje made himself a 5 option today. Good for him. Well, I think a lot of people are disagreeing with you. Brett, for example, saying, as I quote, Nortje was terrible, giving away stupid penalties. Peter says, it was a pity that our wings didn't get more ball. That kick ahead from a Pimpy for Fussy try was world class. Look, I mean, bad conditions. You're never really going to see them get that kind of those chances, are you? Leroy saying, I agree with Jamie, they didn't have a good game with regards to the Bulls players. Cameron saying, the next time they play the Wallabies, it will potentially be a different story and Schmidt will have more time in the job. Isaac says, happy with today's game. Not easy weather conditions. That is an understatement. Right, now we're going to some of the man of the match nominations here. So I would say Mark's man of the match. I'm seeing Michael saying Pieter-Steph the toy. Evan was saying Colby and Fussy. I'm seeing another Pieter-Steph shout. Pieter-Steph is actually a world-class player. Fussy, Colby, Pieter-Steph the toy is what. So I'm seeing a couple Colbys. I'm seeing a couple Fussies. I'm seeing a couple Pieter-Steph the toys. Jeremy saying, my goodness, it's so revealing to see how Forever Rugby supporters rate players like Murat and Libbok. I'm a big Libbok fan. We are a Libbok fan as a Forever Sports community. Brian says, only other option for man of the match, perhaps Fussy. He has said Pieter-Steph the toy. So I think at the moment it seems to be Pieter-Steph the toy, Colby, and Fussy are our man of the match nominations. Somebody else mentioned a Malcolm Marx. What are we thinking about that nomination? What's the chat? I don't mind I think those two are probably good shouts, to be fair. So let's go and throw them in there. Who was your man of the match? We never need to get the sponsor there, like a weird sponsor, like a shampoo brand or like something. And I'm going to give, who's the last one? Colby. Cheslin. Good old Chezzo. Because we're on first name basis, me and Chezza. We're really not, but anyway. Albert says, it was never about picking the right team for the rain today. And JP says, Young Guns welcomes Test Rugby, and that against a very weak Oz team. It will get a lot harder. The Sasha and Creel tries were 2 definite tries butchered. Colby and Mapimpi also opportunities missed. Yeah, I felt sorry for Jesse Creel. You can see how annoyed he was. It was such an iffy one because if he had tried to play that ball, I don't think he was ever catching it. I think he was going because initially it looked like PSF Totoy wasn't going to have his arms free for the offload. So I think he was running towards him to try and like almost sort of create a like pick up and go type of thing. Then he got the offload and he had to like stick to his left, reached out his hand, and if he had tried to play, I think he knocks it forward. So he then left it, but in doing so, then bounced forward, knock on. So yeah, it is a bit of a tried butchered. Should have been scored. Sasha one for me is probably worse in terms of it would have been a 2-on-1 situation. Colby passed here, like here, and I mean, you toss a beer at me over here, I'm taking it. You toss a beer at me over down here, I'm taking it. You toss a beer at me over here, it's finished before you can even mention my name. So for Sasha Vamagomzulu to miss a pass, which was in the bread basket, all you have to do is grab it, run. He's running that way. Offload to the right, and we would have scored. That was a frustrating. He struggled a little bit with Sasha, and that's fine, and that's good. In fact, how good is it that Sasha Vamagomzulu got the experience that he got today? That he managed to play in wet, difficult, hard, horrendous conditions that you don't want to play Test match rugby in against a Tier 1 nation. Not playing like a Tier 1 nation at the moment, but get that experience, and learn from it, which is so good to see. Jamie says, I mean, take a look at the ratings once you get there. Yeah, look, to be fair, I box with people when we do the ratings. Because I think some of them are always ridiculously harsh. A lot of favoritism, I think, when it comes to the ratings, which I suppose is only natural. But what else are we saying here before I get to my ratings myself? And he always says, I think we should give it to Fassi. He needs to step up and prove the most out of the lot. And he did. Yeah, I think a big shout out to Fassi. Because I think tonight, again, you kind of speak about who Upper Fassi is, the way he plays the game. And it's very much not the conditions that you want to be seeing Upper Fassi. You want to see Upper Fassi in dry, open conditions, where you can space and he can run and he can chip and chase and he can do that. It wasn't the case today. The hallmark of a good player is your ability to adapt to the conditions. And I thought that he did adapt very, very well. He didn't have as much to do. I think they probably could have peppered him a bit more under the high ball. But when he did have to take it, he got there and he did it very well. So yeah, I think he handled himself very well today. So Cameron said, oh yeah, Brad Africa says, Dricker's prediction, please. I'm a bit nervous, to be perfectly honest, about that fight. We will be live for that fight, by the way. So if you are looking for somewhere to watch, for example, Rude will be live for the fight in the early hours of the AM. I'm gonna watch it in bed. I'm taking a night. I will probably. Yeah, I think I'm even going out tonight. So I'm going to have a few beers. I'm going to wake up at 4 in the morning or 5 or 6 whenever he eventually does fight and watch that. But I'm a bit nervous about it, I must admit. JP says, I think it's great Sasha had a bad game. It seemed to be too easy for him and he needs to learn what to do. If it's not easy, like Pollard has done for so many times, yeah, not a bad concept. Sometimes that struggle will be like, oh, okay. And to be fair, I think he's just so switched on as Sasha. He's got such a good head on him that I don't think he's ever going to sit there saying, oh, well, this is easy. I think he's so self-aware. And I think that for me is probably what's best quality, is how self-aware he is about how much he needs to learn and about how much he still needs to prove himself, for example. But Brett said, PSF's toy is insane. Imagine peaking for an entire 6 or 7 years. Yeah, I know. Listen, he's proper, isn't he? Leroy saying, agree with Cameron. I can't really tell how good we are until we play the All Blacks. Also, we struggled versus Ireland in the second test. First test, we played pretty well. Dylan says, big ups to my Pimpy. He found that there are players gunning for his position and wasn't playing at his best in the past couple of games, but he stepped his game up and he's definitely making selection tough. Jamie saying that that uncontested scrums just infuriated me. Slipper clearly didn't want to scrum when he saw Ox running onto the field. Also, Alalato poor not to come back on as a captain says a lot about the state of Oz. To be fair, Alalato was being treated for an injury before, and James Slipper, there's one person in the Australian side who I think would have happily played on. It's probably James Slipper. I think he is someone who would play. I've met the guy, and he's a proper player, proper guy. I think the annoying thing was Angus Bell. I don't really know what happened to him, the whole HIA and stuff like that. Yeah. But we still got a lot to talk about, don't we? It's kind of sort of just the aftermath, really. You're kind of sort of coming down, gonna have some beers, we're gonna chat about it. We also obviously do the player ratings a little bit. We will do that. I'm just trying to give you guys as much time as possible. So I'm actually gonna bring it onto the screen because that often then prompts people to go and start doing it themselves. So let's get that going. Right, so that's what the player ratings look like. So if you're not on the website yet, go on the website for a start and go and start giving those players ratings between 1 and 10. Tristan, I think, makes a very good point because I'm really interested to see what Moy van den Berg gets. Look, I'm a Lions player, Lions fan. I wish I was a player. They wish I was a player. And I think Moy van den Berg is a 50k Springbok. I've got no issue saying that either. I don't think he had his best game today. I think the conditions were torrid. And I think he struggled a little bit. I think sometimes he's a little bit over ego as well. I do think he's a 50k. I think him and Grant Williams, for me, currently 1-2. And I think that Jaden Hendricks will come back into that mix. I think those three will be our scrum halves for the next World Cup. Great scrum halves to have, by the way. We're not even talking about it in Humber. In Bruce Pierre, not even on the radar at the moment. But I do think Moy van den Berg, Grant Williams, Jaden Hendricks, in those three, you've got such good different types of players. So I don't think it was Moy van den Berg's best game, but I do like the fact that Tristan's mentioned that maybe he would have been a bit better with a better pack that was going forward, which we weren't really. But I tend to agree as well. Man Africa says, next game without Sia, PSF Toy Ever needs to be captain, not Murat. Well, I don't think Murat's going to play in the next game. It'll be All Blacks, so it'll be Sia will be there, don't you stress. Evan says, Alberto got Albert in the head before end of the first half, so I think he got HIA during half time. Albert saying, compare this to the previous starts to Rugby Championship. This is an incredible start. Oh, it really is. Jings saying, the Aussies must thank the uncontested scrums for this respectful score, otherwise it would have been 40 plus. And Jan says, too much smoke has been blown up about Sasha. Baby steps needed. Would rather play money. I would like to see more of money, to be honest. I'm interested to see how he would have adapted to those conditions. JP saying, how good was it seeing a ref not taking Nick White's nonsense? Good to see that moustache still intact after all the years of manhandling. He must be chuffed about not playing the 9 rule. I said on Twitter, and a couple people are taking exception, but I'll stand by it. I think Nick White is world class. It's a tough thing to it's a tough thing for a lot of people to admit because they don't like him because of his antics. I generally do think he is. I think the way he managed that game, I don't think the Wallabies would have been within 20 points without him at any stage in that game. I thought he managed the conditions absolutely brilliantly. And at the end of the day, if you don't like a player, it's fine, but you got to be able to game recognize the game. You got to be able to appreciate it, and I think he did. I think he really, really did manage things well. His kickoffs were good, for example. His kicking of touch was really good. I can't actually think of anything he did wrong, apart from the one time where he's a scrum off, isn't he? Where he had a word with the referee and he kind of got marched back 10 meters. Probably got a shot a yellow card for that tackle on the Kanya arm. And again, lots of people don't like him. But he's good. He really is good. I think that's just something that you have to admit. Well, I'm happy to admit it. And to be fair, I think he's one of those players. If you watch him play as if he's your player, I think you enjoy his shit stirring. I think some of it's actually very funny, to be honest. But hey. Lots of people get very triggered by him. I think I'm not going to give him the time. I'm not going to give him the satisfaction. But I thought he was very good. He always says, is this one a testament to how good we are or how poor Australia is? Probably a bit of both. But Alistair says, Siya Masuka needs to get a chance at some point. This is BS. I mean, we're really going to complain about it. Jamie says, why did Money only get 10 minutes? That was proper ridiculous. Brett says, Nick White pisses me off every game we play against him. That doesn't mean he's good. I think that's actually a very good point, to be fair. I think it's, often players who you don't enjoy when you play against them are often the best players. As Albert says, Nick White is a trigger for us. No, he is. Owen Farrell as well. Owen Farrell, he's hated by South Africans. Let's be honest. Nobody in South Africa likes Owen Farrell. If you try and tell me Owen Farrell is not world class, he just is. He is. He is world class. Like, you might not like him, and if you don't, fair enough. But Owen Farrell is world class. We just don't like him, you know. So as a player, like as a person, meh. Purdy saying it was a very weird game. Rega says Roger Arnold saying Ruan Okia was brilliant in the rain. Andrew says Ruan Fenter for number 8 wins the game line and is very physical. Ziad saying you plan on live streaming. So we are not allowed to live stream the presser. That is just a rule from the Springboks, but we will have it premiering, which is kind of like a live stream, and we have it premiering basically as it ends. We basically premiere it. So you will not find it first anywhere else. So we will be having that, and the idea, Ziad, now that you're on here, is that we're going to do the show basically until that press conference is finished. We're going to keep chatting, and then I'm going to direct you guys straight to that press conference. So we kind of just create this seamless, ridiculous amount of rugby coverage. So stick around, rate the players, let's have a chat, get some questions into the chat, and as soon as that press conference is done, I'm going to send you guys straight to Rathi himself. And probably, I think it will be Salman. It's usually the captain as well. And then, yeah, we'll just do him. I'm enjoying seeing the Ruan Fenter shots. He had a... And no wonder we haven't started the freaking press conference. We're still busy having trophies being handed out. So Eben Etzebeth there receiving the trophy. Right, so that press conference is definitely going to be delayed because we are the Nelson Mandela played winners. Evan was receiving it. I'll be interested to see if he might be in the post-match press conference. I feel for Salman. Yeah, thank you. He's giving it to Salman, who's going to be... Yeah, I mean, shame. He was supposed to be the captain today, was Salman Murat. And he's giving it to Sia, and Sia's saying no. He's saying, no, you are our skipper. Right. Enough of that, people. Get somebody into a press conference. Let's go. We've got a press conference. We want to hear from Rassi. Anyway, so we are the Nelson Mandela played winners. I don't think we really care about that as much as winning the rugby championship. So that is the main thing. But should we get into the player ratings? I think we've talked enough. I wouldn't say shit because I mean I don't talk shit. Me and Nick White like this. But let's get into the player rating, shall we? Now, Jan Hendrik Wessels. Let me actually pull up my app before we do that. A bit of a false start there. False start. Right, let's see. Yeah, that was last week. That's this week. Let's go to some of the player ratings. Right, Jan Hendrik Wessels, who is 23 years old. It's always a nice precursor to seeing his performance, for example. And his game reads as follows. 3 carries, 6 tackles. He was pinged for scrum time. I think maybe sometimes a little bit harshly pinged at scrum time. I think he could have gotten a bit more reward. 6 tackles. I don't think he made too many errors, to be fair. I think it was fantastic. I think that I'm probably sitting at 7 for Jan Hendrik. I don't think it was bad. I think it was terrible. 6.1. That means you guys have gone a little bit. I'm actually going to refresh this page to just make sure that we're all getting the latest thing. And so I'm going to go with a 7 for him. I don't think it was terrible. 6.1 it's remained the same, so we're up to date. Yeah, I think 6.5 would have probably been about fair for Jan Hendrik. I think, you know, scrums. I felt a bit sorry. I think there was definitely one scrum where I felt he did scrum pretty well. I don't think he should. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I almost want to say I don't think he should be getting opportunities he is getting. I think that Gerard Seneca must be sitting there going, you know, this guy's racking up more minutes than I am. He's gotten 2 starts. I've never started for the Box. Yes, when I play against the All Blacks, I'm called in, and you know, it's a frustrating situation then because Gerard Stenenkamp is higher on Jan Hendrik, but they evidently rate Jan Hendrik long term more than Gerard Stenenkamp because they don't believe they need to give Gerard Stenenkamp the game time. So Jan Hendrik Wessels is like a project 2027 player, and that's why they're trying to give him as much game time as possible. Does he deserve it? I will never say someone's not deserving of a Springboks place because I don't think you get there by accident. He is a player who I think has been very much fast-tracked, though. You know, you just look at his career and he hasn't played a lot of the Bulls. And I do feel that I think that there are probably more deserving players who have had better seasons, had a better track record to play. But it's an interesting thing where it's not we don't pick the best players. Obviously, we do to a certain extent, but we don't pick the best 23 players every single time. That 33-man squad is not the four best 33 players in South Africa. It's just not. It's a combination of the best players as well as players for the system, as well as players for the future, for example. Like there could be a better performing loosehead prop in the URC, for example, but he's 34 years old. And you're going, we can give him time, we can give Jan Hendrik Wessels time. Which is the better? Let's go with Jan Hendrik, for example. We're very much doing that now. So he gets 6.1. Go to some of the comments. Campus says they need to look at Murat even being in the box system. Guy keeps on knocking himself out in all big games. And Flabernabba says, that's a brilliant username. So Flabernabba says Salman should be mental by Kwaka to get that thing out of him. He does have potential, but he needs to get that dog out. I think he's got that. He's just too nice, isn't he? Maybe somebody needs to piss him off. I don't know. Maybe like chewing what football team he watches. Let's go to Jan Koblar. Now, shame. I really wanted him to succeed, but I thought he didn't have a good game today. 5 tackles, none missed. He won a turnover, to be fair, but his lineouts in very tricky conditions. We have to add the pretext. We have to add that sort of context to it. But he was not good, if we're going to be brutally honest. He really, really struggled. And our lineouts were a bit of a disaster. So I'm probably going to give him a 5. 5.7. So I've got a bit lower than other people. Should be a bit less. I just thought the lineouts were really poor, and you've got to be accurate. And they just weren't. So he gets a 5.7. I don't think it was as Malcolm also struggled, to be fair, but not as much as Johan Krabbelon. Thomas Toy, I thought he had a very good game. I thought he was very good in the loose. 11 tackles made, none missed, a turnover one carry. I thought he was pretty solid. Was Thomas Toy. I'm going to give him a 7. 6.5 seems harsh, feels harsh. I don't know about you guys, but does that feel harsh to you? I feel that feels harsh. I feel that he probably deserves more than a 6.5. A couple of people talking about Wilco and Thomas Toy. Thomas at 1, Wilco at 3. Interesting concept, for example. John says 5 is still a good score for Johan based on the game he had. Not giving him too much quarter there. He struggled at the end of the day. There's no doubt about it. He really, really struggled with the conditions and the lineouts. Salman, it was difficult to rate him, isn't it? Because he only played 20 minutes, 18. 1 carry, 1 tackle. So we'll give him the standard 5. I mean, you can't rate a guy down because he got injured, which people are doing. And that's sad. That's sad because he doesn't deserve that. Got injured, 3 carries. He almost defended them all very well when he came straight through. So, he did have a couple of moments, which are actually worth mentioning. But very frustrating for him to have gotten that injury. Let's go to Ruan Nokia, who I'm very interested to see this. I'm still sort of 50-50 when it comes to Ruan Nokia. I thought he struggled a little bit at times. I thought he had some good moments. 11 tackles, 2 missed, 5 carries. I think my problem, it's not a problem. He's very lightweight. I suppose he's 109 kgs, but he just comes across as lightweight, doesn't he? He doesn't. Franco Mostert is kind of and people used to call Franco Mostert too small, by the way. But I just feel that at Ruan Nokia, if you were to add 5 to 10 kgs, 5 kgs even, for example, I think he'd be a different player. I just think he's just, I don't know, maybe it's just his frame, but he just looks skinny. Like, just eat a sandwich, bro. And I'm not going to say it to his face because, he is 6'6" and he's going to dust me because he's like 100 kgs. In fact, I actually might be heavier than him, to be fair. I reckon I'll back myself. But I just feel that sometimes he's just not quite the physical presence that he could be. His skill set's very good and his work rate's very good. But I think he just is a little bit lightweight for what ideally. But I still think he had a reasonable game. I'm going to give him a solid 6. 6 on the dot. So we kind of agreeing there, aren't we? Then we're we're agreeing with the Murat, the Ruanokia chat. We're on the same page there. Marco started an interesting game. He was very active. 11 tackles, 7 carries, 2 turnovers, a couple of turnovers conceded. Bit of a hit and miss kind of game where he was involved in a lot. Some really good, some really bad. My gut feeling is generally he was good. I feel that in general he's in general I thought he played well. When you sort of somebody says, "How was Malcolm Verstappen?" My initial reaction is, yeah, pretty good. So based on that, I'll give him a 7. But let's also remember that there are tricky conditions. So 6.7, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I think that's about right. I don't think he was phenomenal, so I don't think he was much more than a 7. So I think 6.7 is about right for Marco van Staden, who's a young player, by the way. Somebody the other day, it blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. Where somebody said, Marco van Staden not going to the next World Cup, must move on from him. And I was like, my man, you know that this man is 28 years old. Like, he's 28. He is born in 95. He's a year younger than me. And I'm not even in my prime yet, just by the way. I'll not have any chat to say that I'm not in my prime. So he is plenty of years ahead of him. Definitely making the next World Cup. He could actually technically make the next 2 World Cups, because he'll be 31 in the next World Cup, then 35. So yeah, I think he was pretty solid. I've never been a massive Marco Verstappen fan at the beginning of his career. It took me a while to come around to him. Pieter-Steph du Toit, on the other hand, is GOAT levels. Absolute GOAT levels. Let's look at his game. 9 carries, 52 meters, 2 defenders beaten, 2 clean breaks, 11 tackles, 2 missed tackles, 1 turnover, 1 bad pass. He must be a Tony Brown wet dream, which maybe is a bit crass. So I apologize if you don't appreciate that kind of chat, but I think it's pretty funny. But he is, the way he plays the game, he's so mobile, he's so powerful, he's got such a good skill set, he's so deceptively fast. He runs in the trams now, he gets over the advantage line, he tackles like a demon. There's just nothing he can't do. And I don't know how we replace him. Well, I do know his name's Ben Jason Dixon. But I'll tell you what, in terms of players that, that Pep Guardiola meme, we can not replace him. He is that player. He is that kind of player because he's that good. And I don't know how we're going to have life without him, because, jeepers me, he's good. So I'm seeing an 8 for Pieter-Steph du Toit, maybe even a 9. Maybe even a 9. So good. I'm going to give him a 9, because in the weight as well, 8.1. I've got a bit higher. Maybe I got a bit carried away. But I really, really enjoyed him. So MC says, Marco never really impressed me. He's just always average. But look at his stats. He does work. Yeah, maybe one of those kind of silent assassin, I suppose. Does the hard yards. You don't necessarily see him doing the work. Yo-Yo says that Marco's one of those guys who looks great in the green and gold, but meh in blue. I don't know if we're talking about like physically looks great or like just playing performance-wise. Brave Star said Murat played well till he went off. He just always gets injured though. It's a problem. And so MC says PSF Toy is the god playing against men. Against men. He really is, isn't he? He's just an absolute phenom. He always says PSF must be in conversation of being our best blindside flanker. I know. You talk and that pains me because John Smith was my boy growing up. I had certain like cult favorites. Jacques Fourie, my favorite player. Andre Pretorius. John Smith, one of my favorite players ever. Who else were my cult players? Ricky January, GOAT. Obviously for it, but Ricky January, GOAT. And for me, John Smith was always like, for me, my favorite and like the best player I used to watch play. And then John Smith retires, and you go, oh, how do you replace him? And then some young blonde lock makes its transition to 7, is absolutely awful at 7 for a season, and then becomes the best player in the world, and might retire as our greatest ever player. I don't think I've watched a player who is just so consistently performed at such a high level and is always man of the match candidate and always steps up when you need him to as Pieter-Steph du Toit. He is just next level. John saying Pieter-Steph du Toit was a godly 9. Yeah, I mean, fair. He was so good. Albert Lowe. Now, somebody was saying, I've seen very mixed reviews from Albert Lowe online. So Albert Lowe's game reads like this. He carried the ball 7 times, making 10 meters, carried it in the tight, 9 tackles, none missed. I thought he was pretty good, to be honest. I think he made 1 or 2 mistakes, as most people did. So I thought that Albert Lowe was pretty good. I thought he had quite a solid game. I thought he was very good last week as well. I thought he suited the conditions. Evan Lewis would not suit these conditions at all. Whereas I thought that Albert Lowe did suit the conditions. So I'm going to give him a 7. I think he's at a 7 for me. 6.5, I don't mind that, to be fair. I think if I'm going 7 and I feel like I'm pushing it, then a 6.5 being the next sort of the best option after that. So I don't mind 6.5. I think he probably does start against the All Blacks unless Jasper starts, because I think Kwagga is continuing to just be so good off the bench. He's the best bench player out there, is Kwagga. Showed it again today. A couple of the goats coming in there. Andre is saying, Joe Fanico, don't forget. How has no one mentioned Andre Fenter? Yeah, look at this. The problem is that, if we go down the nostalgia route, we can just talk forever, can't we? We have had such good loose forwards. I mean, you look back at your France, Pierre Spies, your Skull. I mean, I think Skalkberger, Jean Smith, Pierre Spies. I'm not even talking about Donny Rousseau, for example. Even since then, your Sia Khaleesi's, your Pieter-Steph du Toit, Dwayne Vermeulen, your Kwagga Smith. Now I'm going to put him up there. He's about to become a 50-cap Springbok. The loose forwards in this country that has produced they are just childishly good. As mentioned, your Andre Fenters, your Joe van Niekerks. So many phenomenal players. So I would look at a 6.5. Morne van den Berg, again, I think he struggled. I'm leading at a 5. I do think that if he had played in front of the more dominant pack, had a bit of football, he would have been better. I think he was sometimes a little over-eager, but there's a player there that I'm willing to work with. And I think 5, there we go. I'm very surprised at that. I think what I'm enjoying, and this is what I love about this channel, is you guys know what you're doing. You guys know what you're talking about. Majority of you guys. Some of you guys are a little bit crackpots, but we love you anyway. But I like the fact that people have spoken about the conditions and the fact that that was always going to complicate things. It was always going to impact his game. And I think he is, big shot, I think he's the best passer of the rugby ball in this current box setup from the scrum halves. I think his distribution is the best. I think every single scrum half has got their own abilities. I think Faf de Klerk is our best defensive scrum half by country mile. I don't think I can even begin to talk about that. I think that Kobus Reinach, stupidly good speed, decent game control. I think Grant Williams is your live wire. His box kicking has come on leaps and bounds, but he's your live wire scrum half. Quick ball, attacking natured, keeps the opposition on their toes. I think from a distribution point of view, I think from base of rack to fly half to first receiver, second receiver, third receiver, I don't think there's a better passer of the ball than Morne van den Berg. I think he is technically so good. And that's why he excites me as a player, because I think that there's so much potential in him. Sash Montgomery, now this is an interesting ranking. Now he kicked well. If you look at his game, that's Morne van den Berg. If you look at Sash's game, for example, he had 75% kick success rate, scoring 8 points. He kicked up on the ball out of hand 9 times, an 88% tackle success rate, 7 missed 1. Wasn't his best game. Let's be brutally honest. It wasn't his best game. He kicked it dead, or kicked it out in the full, for example, which is not ideal. Very much not ideal. And obviously that try that when he knocked it on, probably would have been a try. And he slipped a couple of tackles. So it wasn't his best game, was Sasha. I think that he struggled in the conditions, which is an experience point of view. And I don't think he managed to really grab the game by the collar and say, right, difficult conditions, I'm going to I'm going to take charge of this game. I think he struggled to do that a bit today. I think today we saw the 22-year-old in Sash Famagobazoo, and there's nothing wrong with that. We all know he's going to be world class. He's on that route already. But I think what I've been trying to say, and then I got attacked for saying it, is we've got to be patient with him because he is a young player. He hasn't been around for a long time. He's going to have off games. I think today was an off game, so I'm going to give him a 5. I think people's favoritism will bring him up to a 6. Which is 5. But I think a 5 is about right. I think he kicked all right, but I think there were mistakes in his game. There were. Much like there were mistakes in Van den Berg's game. That kickoff, for example, results in 3 points. He kicked it too deep. We had a scrum on the halfway line, 50-22, line out penalty. I think we actually, to be fair, did they miss that one? I don't think so. But yeah, there were mistakes. We would have scored a try if he had taken that pass because it would have been 2-on-1. Shift to the right, off he goes. Not his best game. I think 6 is probably about higher than what he should be. I think 5 because I struggled to give players a 4 when we did win the game and bad conditions. If those were good conditions and he put that performance in, it probably would have been 4. Makazolo, my pimpy. Makazolo, my goat. My goat, my goat, my goat, my goat, my goat, my goat. He just steps up, doesn't he? And he's a player who I've said for a while, love him, phenomenal player. Probably need to start maybe potentially aging him out, phasing him out. But he just continues to pitch up. The one thing I will say about him is I think he's a little predictable with ball in hand. I think, that try, for example, that he almost scored, I don't think Tom Wright ever even considered the fact he was going to step in. I think he just beeline for the corner. And from that perspective, I think he can add a bit more. But his work rate's always 2nd to none. Created a try. He's going to give a 7 for me. 6.7. I could have been a 7.5. I feel like 7.5 is probably more where I'm at. Lekanya had a very quiet game. Didn't have much to do. And again, I'm frustrated at the conditions because I think dry conditions, we could have seen Lekanya have a proper go at it at inside center. He didn't miss a tackle. He had that really cool little skip up there, take the ball. So I think his potential in this whole Lekanya at 12 idea. But I thought he was very good with what he had to do. I'm going to give him a 7 because he didn't make any mistakes. 6.7. So we're kind of pretty similar there. But I mean, yeah, I think that I'll be interested. I would like to see it again. So Lekanya was going to get a 7. Jesse Creel. Yeah, some people might take him for the butchering of a try. I thought another really good game from him. He made 5 tackles, missing just 1. 1 clean break, 31 meters gained, 2 defenders beaten, 3 passes, a clean break. Solid 7 for me from Jesse. 7.2. Love it. It's just undroppable, isn't he? Absolutely undroppable. James C talking about Pimpy saying Pimpy was good but starting to slow it down. Tian van der Berg says great try assist from a Pimps it was. It was a phenomenal kick. Just slowed up so perfectly for Fussy, for example. The weighting was perfect. Yeah. Can't ask much more. I think I might sound like I'm harping on. There is so many legs to this JC Creel Lekanya combination. And I mean I love Damien Delendi and I'm not replacing Damien Delendi anytime soon. But does this excite me? I don't know why, but that excites me. To have the all-roundedness of the pace of JC Creel, physicality, defensive awareness, then the creativity with the physicality, because the Kanya is physical, and when he's on the pace of the Kanya it's so non-Springboks in terms of big, crashable, bulky, gain line 10, 12, which he probably needed in this game, for example. But the concept of these two as a combination really excites me. I think it could be a very fun combination. So that's Laka. So JC gets 7.2. Chesn I thought worked really hard. I was interested to see if they're going to go Chesn versus Kirkley. And they went with Chesn. But I thought Cheslin, I want to give him an 8. I thought he was really good. 7.6. Yeah, I think that's probably the highest besides Pieter-Steph du Toit. You got 8.1, I think. Yeah, so that's the highest for rating so far, 7.6. And then Uploaded Fussy, what a game from him. Assured, very assured game, which is really good to see, because I thought it was conditions that didn't suit him at all. And yet, despite conditions that don't suit him, he stood up and put in a big shift. So I'm going to give him an 8. He is in the man of the match conversations. 7.6, slap bang with Cheslin Colby. Not quite with PSDF the toy is. And I haven't looked at the poll, but I'd imagine PSDF the toy is winning there. It's actually very interesting how reflective this is, because they've got the same ratings. They're almost getting the same votes on the man of the match. And PSDF toy being slightly ahead of them, and also quite a far ahead of them in the voting. So it's all working. Right, let's go through the bench, shall we? Because we've been going through this for a long time. Right, Malcolm Marks, off the bench, superb. Absolutely superb, wasn't he? Looked very much like the Malcolm Marks of old. He got 2 carries, 8 tackles. I actually might give him an 8. From an impact point of view, I thought he was really good. 7.6, same way there. I like that. Oxen Chair didn't get to scrum, unfortunately, so maybe even 5, but not his fault. 6.8. Vincent Cox, same thing. I mean, we have to give the prop 6s, don't we? Because they didn't get to scrum. And in general play, Vincent Cox probably the better player. But what are you supposed to do, eh? What are you supposed to do? Evan, another good game from him. Still a bit quiet, maybe, by his standards. So I'll probably give him a 6, maybe. Where are we at? 7.5. Maybe am I being harsh by Evan? No, I don't think it was 7.5. If I give him a 7, where does that go up to? This doesn't change. Yeah, I thought Evan was good, but I didn't think he was. Maybe, again, the problem is, we mentioned before, the Evan index, which is, if he's basically not putting in an all-timer, it's outstanding, because that's the standard. No, I think that should be fair. I think it was good. I think 7 maybe would have been deserved, so I'll give him a 7. My final thing's a 7. It's not changing the rating. 7.5. It feels a bit generous. But fine, fair enough. Quacker off the bench, really good. Beat a couple of defenders, won the nice turnover, adds energy as he always does. And so I'm going to give him an 8. He is Mr. Impact. Maybe 7's probably better. See, I don't think that Etzebeth, for example, had a half-point better game than Quacker Smith, who came off the bench to really good effect. I mean, it's a pretty trivial matter as far as it goes, because it's not that deep. But just in my opinion. Grant Williams, up the ante, looked good. Another 7 for him. Very nice player off the bench. Marty Liebach didn't play enough. Going to give him a 6. 5.7. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. He had nothing to do. He came on, he made 1 tackle, he didn't miss a tackle. He kicked towards touch. So, I mean, 5.7 based on absolute what? That's what somebody was trying to say earlier. It's a bit of an agenda against him. I don't appreciate it. I don't like it. I think it's very harsh. Marty Liebach, for me, is still our best attacking flower half. Massive fan of him. And maybe deserves a bit better from supporters. So I think that's a bit harsh. And Andre Pollard, probably also a 6. Didn't have much to do. 6.4. I mean, what difference did they have? Pollard had a conversion. Right, Rassi. Selection-wise, I still think that there would have been more value for having Christina come play ahead of Jan-Hendrik Wessels. I understand that they really like Jan-Hendrik, but yeah, not for me. But at the end of the day, bonus point win, tricky conditions. For me, I'm going to give Rassi a 7. 8.1. I think that's a bit generous. I mean, I don't think we played as well as we could have. For example, despite the conditions, we obviously made lots of changes, so there is that to consider. But yeah, I think we could have played better. But job done. Right, the final thing that we've got to do before I send you over to Rassi Erasmus's press conference, which is just literally wrapped up in the last 2 minutes. We are going to award our man of the match. And it is a pretty much landslide victory. Pieter-Steph du Toit will walk away with the Forever Sports Man of the Match. You know, the coveted award. At the end of the day, you know, he's won a World Player of the Year. But when he tells his kids about his career, he'll tell them about the fact that when he got that Forever Sports Man of the Match award, because that's at the end of the day the only thing these players are out there to play for. Obviously, that is a bit of a joke if you can't take one. But yeah, there we go. So Pieter-Steph du Toit walks away with the Man of the Match. People, thank you very much. It has been a very long morning of rugby. So I appreciate the graph that you've put in. You know, we've been out here since about 8 this morning. Australia versus South Africa, New Zealand versus Argentina this morning as well. We've still got Curry Cup to come, so plenty of sport. We've got Drikkers fighting tonight, and he will be up against Israel Adesanya. It's 4 a.m. / kind of probably about 5 a.m., 6 a.m. They are the main card, for example. So yeah, there is still so there'll still be some fights and stuff on for him before he actually gets going when that main card starts. But we will be live for that as well, so make sure you come and join Mr. Roods. And yeah, I think that if he does go and win, it'll be absolutely huge for the country and for South African sport in general. So yeah, all the best to Drix du Plessis. Hopefully he gets that win over there. Final sort of thoughts from me. Maybe being a bit harsh for Rassi, but I don't know. I think that we made changes, agreed. What we also can't forget is that this is Australia's side in an injury crisis. You know, multiple debuts this season, for example, even this series, even in this match, there was a debut. So it's an Australian side which are ranked 9th in the world. And they're not far off being a tier 2 side. So we made changes. We beat them comfortably with the bonus points. So job done. I do feel that Miley Bok could have been used better, for example. And I do feel that Statistical maybe should have played. I do think that, you know, from a tactic point of view, I think that difficult to judge in terms of the scrums not being a thing at all. And but it is job done, which is the main thing. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy as a box supporter. I'm going to go have some beers and enjoy my afternoon because I think, you know, job is done, which is the main thing. You know, that whole that meme from Kobe. You know, Kobe mentality, Mamba mentality. You know, job done. I don't think so. Job was done today. So we've got the 10 points. We leave Australia top of the rugby championship log. I'm going to look at it now. Actually see exactly how to look at it, because obviously it's us with 10 points. We'll be 5 points ahead of New Zealand. Us with 10, New Zealand with 5, Argentina with 4, Australia with 0. We have a points difference of 44. New Zealand have a points difference of 24. Argentina minus 24. Australia with 44. So yeah, very, very comfortably at the top. We can actually afford to lose to New Zealand. If we were to beat them and then lose to them, we'd pretty much go all the way. So we're very much poised to win the rugby championship. Kind of like no excuses, really. Because we've now, you know, Australia's where we've struggled in the past. We've beaten them twice, so we've got the natural monkey off the back. We've actually beaten them 3 times in a row. So we've got the Nelson Mandela Freedom Plate. We will play for the Freedom Cup coming up against New Zealand. I really want to win that back, which means you have to beat them twice. I don't know if we will beat them twice. We don't actually necessarily have to beat them twice in terms of winning the rugby championship. One win will probably almost do. If we beat them and we beat Argentina twice, then that'll be enough. That'll have us winning the rugby championship. So it's ours to lose, and which is good because, you know, we need to win these trophies. I've had a lot of fights and disagreements with people on the channel about some people saying, you know, the rugby championship doesn't matter. It's all about the World Cup, and I vehemently disagree. But I'm going to send you over to Rassi Erasmus, who is the press conference is debuting. People, thank you very much. We'll see you guys all in the week. Smash like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well.